The following is a paid program for Principal Preservation Services, LLC.
Here's what's coming up on Retirement Reality Roadmap with Mike Koyanen.
When you take the lump sum, you actually can turn around and invest that money elsewhere. When you take the pension, you're now locked into that monthly payment the rest of your life. It hurts you on the tax side of things as well. If you don't need all that income 1 month, you can't reduce that anymore.
We're schooled on these rules. We've been talking about Social Security and doing seminars and giving free Social Security reports for the last 10 plus years.
As the market's adapting, as you go on, you have to adjust your risk because the market's changing. Why wouldn't you be changing as well?
When you talk about $100,000 in difference, we've seen as high as $300,000 in difference from taking it early or taking it at the optimal age.
That's not lunch money.
And now, the host of Retirement Reality Roadmap.
Hi, and welcome to this week's show.
We have 30 minutes of great information designed just for you.
Don't go anywhere. The show starts right now.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Ask the Advisor. Were you the Twin Cities area? Email your questions into us. We answer them right here on the show. Gentlemen, great questions again this week. Mike, I'll begin with you, and this one is from Jordan in Prescott. Jordan writes, on a previous show, you talked about accumulation annuities. What are they, and why are they called that?
Great question, Jordan. Thank you for writing in. Accumulation index annuities is what I believe you're referring to. And that's what we focus with a lot of our retirees, pre-retirees, because it's a bond replacement. We're getting away from the bonds where the interest rate environment still hasn't recovered yet from the interest rate hikes. We had 11 rate hikes in interest rates and just a few reductions. It's going to take a while for bonds to recover. So when we're looking at the index annuities, the accumulation, they're based off an S&P 500 index or something similar like a Dow Jones or maybe some other index that's out there. You get the upside of the market with no downside risk, but these don't have any riders attached to them. I think people talk about annuities, they have all these riders, income riders, death benefit riders. It's unnecessary, I believe, in my opinion. So you don't need to pay money to have these riders to tell them how to take your income out. When you work with a fiduciary advisor like ourselves, we're going to help you decide which account should you be taking your distributions from. We don't need the companies to tell us how to do that. And so that's how the accumulation is. You should be able to get 5, 6, 7% average returns in these index annuities designed for accumulation.
Mike, I'm just going to do a follow-up question to that. What sort of guarantees are there with these? Because by that 5, 6, 7%, man, that sounds attractive today. Is there a guarantee with that?
You're guaranteed not to lose. That's the benefit. Zero is your hero. So if you have a bad market, the S&P 500 loses 25, 30, 40%, you take a zero. You don't lose anything, you don't gain anything, but you don't have to start over. You don't have to have years to recover from those.
I guess what I was more asking, like, of course, with banks, there's the FDIC, right? What is the equivalent with an annuity?
Yeah, there is protection. There is insurance protection on these as well. Not FDIC, but they're state guaranteed through the association. So in Minnesota, we have the State Guarantee Association. In White Bear Lake, in Wisconsin, we have it out of Madison, Wisconsin. Every state has an insurance division that protects these dollars.
I think that's important to know for a lot of people because people feel very comfortable with the bank, but there is another place as well that does offer this guarantee.
Yeah,
up to
$250,000.
$250,000. Thank you, Mike. Tate, my next question is for you, and it's from Linda from Minnetonka. And she writes, my company is offering me a lump sum or a pension. I like the lump sum idea, but my husband wants me to take the pension. How can we know which one is better for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Linda, for writing in. We always appreciate viewers emailing in and asking questions. First and foremost, congratulations on the pension. It's a dying breed these days, so it's nice to have that in retirement. But that is always the question, right, is do I take the lump sum or do I take the monthly pension? There's a lot of variables that go into that in terms of other incomes, like what is your Social Security benefit? What are your expenses on a monthly basis? Do you need that monthly income to live off of? The other variables that would be applicable here would be when you take the lump sum, you actually can turn around and invest that money elsewhere. When you take the pension, you're now locked into that monthly payment the rest of your life. It hurts you on the tax side of things as well. If you don't need all that income 1 month, you can't reduce that anymore. The pension or the lump sum pension allows you to do that, where you can't do that with the monthly pension. So there's a lot of variables. We always encourage you to come in or meet via Zoom in our office to talk through those options, and we'll look at it, see what is best for yours and your husband's situation.
Thanks, Tate. Mike, my last question is for you, and it's from Mike in Bloomington. And he writes, what is the difference between a bond and a bond fund? Is one a better investment than the other?
Good question, Mike. Totally different. And so back in the day, bonds used to be a lot more popular than they are today. We rarely see bonds held in an individual retirement account like an IRA, because typically there's a long maturity date. When I was at the airport, there's a gal there that was talking to her advisor into a 28-year municipal bond at 4%. Well, if you sell it, if the interest rates are up, you're going to take a loss. You're going to take a loss on those bonds. Most people today are investing in a bond fund, which is a conglomerate of multiple bonds, different maturity dates, different yields, and you're charged a fee too. So what do advisors like to do? They like to put it part of your portfolio. They get to charge a fee. It's still at risk. It still changes daily. And we look at the U.S. aggregate bond. It's still down about 15% last time I had looked. Double-digit losses in the last 3 years. Hasn't made any money in the last 5 years. And that's what most people are investing in. Most people aren't in a bond today unless you have an individual account. Typically in IRAs, it's bond funds.
So, Mike, side question. If you have bonds today, is it fair to say that there are alternatives to that might provide that safety piece that the bond was supposed to do? And
Right.
if so, what are some of those other alternatives?
Yeah, we're seeing yields today on these bonds, bond funds, 3 to 4.25 maybe. Nothing fantastic, but also you're losing value as of today as well. So we replace the bonds with the index annuities, the fixed index annuities, because we're getting better returns on that. We're looking at a 10-year average to be in that roughly 6% average return, which is surpassing bonds. And bonds can lose. Bond funds can lose. Bonds can lose. FIAs, fixed index annuities, take 0 losses. And I think that's a better fit in today's retirees, pre-retirees. They like the better returns, and they like the safety.
Mike, Tate, thank you so much. If you want more information about anything we spoke about here today, hey, give us a call in the office. Let's start a conversation. Or you can go to our website. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching Retirement Reality Roadmap with Mike Koyanen.
Are you unleashing the possibilities of your assets in retirement? Hi, I'm Mike Koyanen of Principal Preservation Services, and we've been helping families with their retirement goals and dreams since 2014. We specialize in comprehensive wealth management strategies and retirement planning. Together, let's create a cohesive plan and maximize your assets in retirement. Call today or scan the QR code on the screen to set up your complimentary visit. Principal Preservation Services, where retirement dreams become reality. On this week's Retirement Reality University, we're going to talk about the spousal step-up when it comes to Social Security. So a lot of people don't know about this feature that's still around with Social Security and some of the benefits that still come with Social Security, because a lot of those benefits are gone. The file and suspend benefit ended in 2016. The file and restrict benefit ended in 2023. This is still around, folks. So we want to help you understand what is still available, because it might apply to you or somebody you know. So when we look at the spousal step-up, example number 1, it says John has a Social Security benefit at full retirement age, is what FRA stands for, at $4,000 a month. But his wife, Jane, she didn't have 40 credits to qualify for Social Security. She maybe worked part-time or had maybe 38 credits. Maybe she had 0. It doesn't matter. She didn't qualify for Social Security. But you know what? Because she's married to John, she still gets a benefit. So when John files, he gets his $4,000 a month. When Jane files, she'll get exactly half of his benefit if they're the same age. If she files and she's younger, she'll get a reduced benefit, but she'll still get a benefit as long as John has filed, because she's married to John. So now that benefit is reduced, but if something happens to John and now she becomes a widow, now Jane will actually get John's benefit. Let's look at example over here, number 2. Now, John is at 67, $4,000 a month, but Jane has a reduced benefit, same age, but she only gets $1,200 a month. She worked, she qualified for Social Security, but she just didn't get, as high of a benefit. So what Social Security allows you to do still today is when John files, she'll get a step up of $800 extra dollars under her Social Security because she's always entitled to get at least half of what John's benefit is. It's a great feature. People said, why is this rule still allowed here with Social Security? Well, look back about 40, 50 years when Grandma and Grandpa or great-grandma and Grandpa worked. One person worked outside the home. Grandma usually stayed home, Grandpa worked, and that rule is still applied today. So this actually example works for my wife and I. My wife got a benefit statement in the mail a few years ago about getting like $360. She's going to shoot me for telling you this, but $360 a month, and she was really depressed when she saw that statement. And I said, Angie, you've come to my seminars. You've seen what I talk about. You know that you're not going to get your $360 a month. She goes, I don't listen to you. So reality is we're 5 days apart. So this works perfect for us. So when I file someday, I'm going to get a nice benefit because I max out my benefits every year. She's going to get exactly half on my benefit. She won't get her $359 a month that the states, because she did qualify, but she didn't have a lot of working years because you stayed home with the kids and raising the family. So this works while you're married. This also works if you were divorced. If you're married and divorced and you're married for at least 10 years and your ex-spouse had passed, you actually get a step-up benefit there as well, okay? So you're entitled to get that benefit from your ex-spouse or a widowed benefit as well. If you have a lot of questions when it comes to this, Social Security, this is just one feature of many features and components when it comes to Social Security, right? There's the earnings test. This is the file and restrict benefit. There's so many different features when it comes to Social Security. We want you to understand and have the confidence when you go to file that you're doing the right thing. Well, here's another little story, personal, close to home that I'll share. My mom and dad. Unfortunately, I lost my dad at a young age. He died at 47. My mom was a widow, and my mom never did remarry. And so when my mom retired as a nurse at 66 years old, she didn't file for her own Social Security. What she did is she filed for my dad's benefit. And she was able to collect that benefit from 66 all the way to 70. And then what she did is at 70, she switched to her own benefit, and she collected that up till today. And her benefit has surpassed my dad's benefit. So that gave her about $400 or $500 a month more at age 70 than she would have if she would have stayed on that widow benefit. So there's a lot of rules, and we're schooled on these rules. We've been talking about Social Security and doing seminars and giving free Social Security reports for the last 10 plus years. Thousands and thousands of reports at no cost to you. If you want one of those free reports, please call the office or go to our website, and we want to help you out and help you understand how to get the most out of your Social Security. You've been working since you're 16 or 18 years old. Let's get the most out of Social Security.
You're watching Retirement Reality Roadmap with Mike Koyanen.
From my experience, many retirees keep too much of their assets in the stock market after they retire. A well-diversified retirement portfolio should have assets in each of the 3 different retirement stages. The youth stage, putting money into savings. The adult stage, putting money into growth investments. And when you reach that mature stage, you should transition from growing and risking to more protection and guarantees. If you aren't sure about your risk, call now or scan the QR code to get your custom Retirement Reality Roadmap. There's no obligation and no cost if you have at least $250,000 saved for retirement. Here's what you'll get: a free report to sort through your current investment risks and fees, a tailored strategy to help protect your assets, a tax analysis to potentially reduce your tax liability, a custom income plan, and even a budget analysis if that's needed. Let us help you. Call now or scan the QR code on the screen to schedule your complimentary consultation. Principal Preservation Services, where retirement dreams become reality.
Hi, and welcome back to Retirement True or False. Gentlemen, I've got some great questions this week. Mike, I will begin with you. The stock market will stop being volatile after this year, true or false?
False. I wish that was true. I wish I was Nostradamus, right? The market is, it's so hard to just track. We just look in the previous years. We look at 2022. Was that predicted? No, it wasn't. We look at 2018. Was that predicted? 2008. Maybe that was predicted a little bit, but the market changes. And who thought it was going to be so strong the last 2 years, right? So the key is we need a plan. We can't be reactive. We have to be proactive when it comes to planning for your retirement. You need to have money today and some safety. You need to have some money in the market. You need to have the combination of it to fit your risk tolerance, your risk score. Okay, so most people are just doing what they want to do and what they have been doing, and they don't like change. But reality is, we're getting older. We have to change and change your investments again.
So, Mike, you're serving up a cup of coffee right now. Don't
Okay.
forget, the market will correct. It will happen.
It will correct.
And it's not an if, right? It's a when.
Right. It's-
And so I would say to those watching, are you prepared for a stock market dip from small to potentially large? Because it is going to happen. Are you prepared for that? Dave, my next question is for you. Most investors are aware of the amount of risk they have in their portfolios. True or false?
That is also false and plays nicely with what you were just talking about too. As the market's adapting, as you go on, you have to adjust your risk because the market's changing. Why wouldn't you be changing as well? As you age, as you get into retirement, your situation, your income, all those things are changing. Why would you not change your risk as well? You have to prepare yourself for these changes. You have to look at this often enough to know, if I went through a life event, if I changed jobs, had a kid, bought a house, how does that affect my risk? How does my risk look going into these future markets and into the unknown that's coming up in the next chapter here?
So there's two things that pop up for me when I think about this. One is that there are people out there that believe they are safe with what they have because they don't understand the risk element of their portfolio. They've been told by someone that they probably consider a friend, their financial advisor. Heck, they may play golf with them or go to church with them. But this is where I always bring up, Dave, the importance of a second set of eyes. You know, just having someone else review what you have, because potentially you're going to say, you know what, they did a heck of a job. What you have is golden. Or there might be these are the 2, 3, 4 things that you might want to consider changing to mitigate risk and to potentially have a safer retirement. Fair statement?
Fair statement, very true, yes.
Mike, my last question is for you. And it is fixed indexed annuities and variable annuities are the same products with different names, true or false?
That is false. Yeah, get me started on that. I'm not a huge fan of variable annuities. Anybody who comes into our office, and if you have one, I'm not here to put you down or make you feel bad if you have one of them, but get a review if you have that. They're two totally different investment products. One is a security, one is not. One has fees probably 3 to 4%. One has zero fees, maybe 1% if you choose to do a rider. One is in the market. One is tied to the market, but no risk. And you can't lose value. One, you can lose value. So the key is to get a review on that, understand what you do have. Some people think it is safe that what they have, and we find out it's a variable annuity. And if you see Susie Orman do any financial reporting, she'll say if your advisor recommends you get a variable annuity, find a new advisor. I agree 100%. And that'll tell you exactly who you're working with, a fiduciary or non-fiduciary advisor.
I think, Mike, there are going to be people out there, just like I was telling you, Dave, that don't understand the difference. They have again, this is the risk element that we were talking about earlier. They think they have one type of annuity when in fact they have the other. How can they know? If they're like, you know what, when this show's over today, I'm going to open up the drawer, take out the file cabinet, and I'm going to look at my paperwork, how would I know?
Typically, it should state on the statement if it is a variable or it'll show fixed indexed annuity. If you're not sure, sometimes it is hard to see, and sometimes hidden in the name. So set a review, call the office, we'll call the company. We don't call the advisor who sold it, we call the company who holds your money, right? So a lot of times, I had one guy, Greg, come to my office. He said, I didn't want to set the appointment because I didn't want to talk to the advisor. I said, you know what, we're going to be calling Prudential. Their customer service is over in the Philippines. Are you okay with that? He goes, oh yeah, I didn't want to talk to my advisor, but I'm okay with that. So typically that's what's happening. You're just sold off to a big company and they forget about you. because they made their commission. Now they just set it and forget it type investment, and that's really not what it should be. So we'll call the company, get the information, the details, the fees, the risk, and whatever else is associated with that your money's tied to. Your retirement accounts are tied to this account that you probably don't understand, and I'll help you explain that in about 15 minutes.
So I love the story. You know, when you have people in there and on the phone, you put it on speaker and you call the company.
Oh, it's fun.
And sometimes the client is under, I have 1% or 1.5%, and then you ask them over there, and then of course they're going to tell you the truth, give you all the different fees, and it ends up being 3%.
Right.
Or 3.5% or higher. Have you ever seen an angry person in your office thinking it was one thing when it was actually another?
Right, because on the variable annuity statement, they only have to show the rider fee. They don't put the mortality and expense fee. They don't put the admin fee. They don't put the sub-account fees. They don't put the annual fee. So they're only showing one of the fees, maybe one of the 4 or one of the 5. So we'll get all the fees answered, and then people are pretty disgusted. Then we find out their rate of returns are lower than their fees on average.
Right.
And that's really frustrating.
Mike, Dave, thank you so much. If you want more information about anything we talked about here today, hey, give us a call in the office or go to our website. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching Retirement Reality Roadmap with Mike Koyanen.
And welcome back to Retirement Reality Radio with Mike Koyanen. Mike, our next topic here, there's a lot of confusion with it, okay? And it's age to take Social Security. Man, there are so many variables here, hundreds and hundreds of different ways to take Social Security, age, so many different things. So let's get into that right now, because I think there's for a lot of folks, well, I'm 62, I'm going to take it now because I don't know when I'm going to get all my money out and all this, but you know, with a little bit of sensible planning, there might be a better option. Or the comment is, well, if I wait till 70, then when is my break-even point and all those things. So how do you traditionally do it at Principal Preservation, okay, when you're going over someone's Social Security as to best advise them when to take it?
Yeah, and that comes with asking a bunch of questions as well, which is health, which is when is, if you're married, when is he retiring? When is she retiring? How much income are you going to make? Because some people want to go part-time and retire, but then maybe just pick up a part-time job for a while, and maybe that can make a big factor as well. So there's so many different factors when it comes into it. For some people, it doesn't really matter the date because they've done so well retirement savings, that their savings are so good. It doesn't matter if they take it at 62 if they retire, or if they take it at 65 or 60 or 67 or 70. But for some people, they really need to hone that down, because a lot of those free money programs have gone. The file and suspend is done. The file and restrict is done. So some of that free money programs that the previous generations were able to take a part of, you don't. So you really have to fine tune when to take Social Security. And the nice thing is with our program, we could just modify that front and backwards.
Yeah, and the pensions are becoming less and less each year, moving to that 401k world. So for a lot of folks, this is going to be a significant, if not the significant, piece of money in retirement. And like everything else, let's do our best to get it right. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Mike, because we've talked about calculations and this and that. When done correctly as opposed to incorrectly, this could potentially be $100,000 or more over the course of your retirement, and in some cases well more than that, because you did it properly. So it's worth coming into the office. It's worth sitting down with you and your team to say, okay, here are all the variables. You'll ask all the questions,
right,
so that you can determine for someone who's maybe adamant about doing it a different way, hey, hold on. Let's go through all the scenarios here, and let's truly discuss what's going to be best for you. So you can, in fact, you've paid into it your whole life.
Right.
You've paid into this your whole life. Let's make sure you get the maximum back, right?
Right. You've been since you had a job, 16, 18, 21, if you got out of college or whatever that is, get the most out of it. For a lot of people, this is going to be a third of their retirement income, some half, some 2/3 of their income. So we want to get the most out of it. The nice thing is we've been educating people in the community. You probably see my name out there with educating in Minnesota, in Wisconsin on Social Security. We've given out over 10,000 free Social Security reports since we've been doing that for over 10 years now, close to 11. And so everybody who comes in the office will give you that report. And in that report, the software automatically will choose 2 scenarios for you. We're going to add 2 more scenarios. When you talk about $100,000 in difference, we've seen as high as $300,000 in difference from taking it early or taking it at the optimal age.
That's not lunch money.
It's not.
That is real money. And you know, I always tell people, hey, listen, if you got a question, talk to an expert. Get in there. 45 minutes with the right advisory firm, in this case, of course, Mike and you and your team, could be the difference of, like you said, maybe it's 50,000, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 300,000 because you took the time to sit down and say, Mike, who doesn't want another 100,000 in their retirement?
Exactly.
Who doesn't want that? 45 minutes, I think that is a fair exchange of time for information to make sure that you've got it right.
Right, and we have the experience, so we're going to see things that you might not be knowing that you're able to get. Like we had a client come in recently, her ex-spouse has passed. Well, you know, they've been divorced, but they were married for at least 10 years, divorced for at least 2, and he had passed. She's subject now to collect 100% of his widow benefits. She doesn't get half, she gets 100% of that. She had no idea she was even eligible to do that. And the nice thing is she's already 60 years old, a little over 60. She can take that widow benefit. She's already engaged to get remarried. She can stay on that widow benefit. It doesn't affect that at all.
Wow.
So there's some strategies out there that a lot of people aren't subject to.
You know, I want to talk about this for a minute. It's kind of off topic, and that's the solvency of Social Security. And, you know, I have my own theory on this, and I am not a financial advisor, let me say that. But, man, is that a political hot potato? I don't think anyone, that's like putting your head on the chopping block if you're like, we have to change this and give less money. That person will never get reelected. So that's a pot of money that is never going to be touched. Fair?
Fair. The solvency of Social Security, if they don't make changes, expected to do a reduction about 24% after the year 2034 if they don't make changes. There's going to be some changes. The biggest one is increase Social Security taxes. Remember, prior to 1984, nobody paid taxes on your payroll for Social Security. Then they start taxing it. Talking about increasing that. You're paying 6.2% in. The employer is putting in 6.2% of your Social Security. Now they're talking about increasing that 2.5% to 3% more to split between you and your employer. Also increase the retirement age of Social Security. So I fully expect before I get to 67, it won't be there for me. It'll probably be 68 or 69. So a couple things that are going to change.
Mike, thanks so much. Hey, now is the time to pick up the phone and give us a call in the office. Let's get your Social Security questions answered. You're listening to Retirement Reality Radio with Mike Koyanen.
You're watching Retirement Reality Roadmap with Mike Koyanen.
Thank you for watching this week's show.
And if you want information regarding anything we spoke about here today, hey, give us a call in the office or go to our website.
Principal Preservation Services, where retirement dreams become a reality.
The preceding program is sponsored by Principal Preservation Services, LLC.